I think I was still 15. Couldn't play the guitar. I just thought you tighten the strings up and it works. But obviously it didn't work. And strangely enough, I was walking across a local bomb pit because that's the area that Hitler wanted destroyed. And my dad worked in the steel mills, but fortunately they missed because the flames from certain parts of the area, what the German bombers did was follow the flames, and that's why part of town was destroyed, because they followed the long road from the east of Sheffield into town, and where the flames were, that's where the German bombers dropped other bombs. I'd got the guitar, couldn't play. I wanted it. I, desperately wanted to play. And I was walking over the bomb site, and I saw this piece of paper, what we would now call A5, just lying on the floor. And being an inquisitive little cat, I just went down. Oh, and guess what it was? How to tune a guitar. And I learned I don't know, probably within a couple of days. And once I could do that, I was off, And even then, strangely enough, it didn't occur to me that I would be a jobbing musician, because I'd still got this idea of being a lawyer in me. But it just gradually took over. And one day I thought, no, I got this bang that said, no, you're not going to be a lawyer, you're going to be a musician. So, and that's what I've done since. I worked in between, some local jobs, but a couple of steelworks, in fact, in Attercliffe, Hadfields and Firth Vickers. I'm surprised that the Germans missed them. There are opportunities come up, and if you recognise them as opportunities, there's only one thing you can do: you take it. I can't resist when we go up Sharrow Lane. I can't resist looking down the street where we lived for a while. It's just a deep abiding memory, because we had some happy times there.
And do you remember anybody from that area, any characters?
Yeah, Joe Scarborough, the artist. Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with him. No. Yeah, it's a sort of caricaturist. And he's brilliant, really. He's a sort of, what's that Lancashire painter? Lowry, yeah. You don't actually see a face, you see expressions. And he's really good at it.
Is he still?
Yeah, I think he's still alive, living on a canal boat.
Oh, I'll have to look him up then.
I've been on it a couple of times. And he's a character. The first thing I did was with Dave Berry, who lives in Dronfield, and he'd got a band, and they were wanting more money and all that kind of stuff, and I don't blame them. But he was after my band because we were the best band in Sheffield. I'm not.
What was your band called?
The Frank White Band. What else would it be? And eventually the lads in the band said, no, let's do it. So we did. And I started recording with Dave for Decca Records first. And when I left Dave, other opportunities came up. After I'd signed with EMI, I got a representative from Tamla Motown. They wanted to sign me. And if they'd both been there at the same time, guess who I would have gone with? Guess? Tamla. Yeah, you bet. I would have been the first white boy on a black label. Imagine that. And some of my favourite singers, Marvin Gaye, Sammy, you know, Tammy Terrell. Oh boy, the Miracles, all that. Imagine hobnobbing with your favourite singers and even maybe writing songs with them, you know. Well, I was a happy kid in Darnold because after the war ended, um, you know, I went to the local schools, obviously, and I got through the, got a pass for a grammar school, you know, and but my mum and dad were always encouraging me. They were never, oh, you must do this or you mustn't do that. They did that, but if I said, Mom, I'm going to play my guitar, okay, no problem. And whenever I did anything, like recording, they were right behind me. I used to go in this shop in town, Wilson Peck's, which doesn't exist anymore. But it was where it was round the corner from my school, and at lunchtime I could go around there, and I could go in a cubicle, and ask them to play such and such a record. So I'm in the booth, and they would play me whatever I asked for, you know. And then I'd go into the next section where they had the guitars, and I used to pick them up and play, because nowadays it's very difficult in some shops to just take a guitar off the wall. But then I could do anything. I've done the Royal Albert Hall a few times. First time I played there was with Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, one of the biggest bands in the world. And oh boy, that was great. In the 60s, you know, when the English explosion, bands went to America, and there was a couple of bands that went to visit Elvis. And apparently, I don't know this absolutely firsthand, so I'm not going to imply anything. But apparently, he was asking about me, what I was doing. Now, Elvis has been my favourite singer for years. And if I'd actually been in a band that went over to, well, he was living in the 70s, he would have been living at, he wasn't living at Graceland at the time. Yes, he was living at Graceland. And all the bands from England, they had to meet Elvis because they were in Elvis's territory. And, you know, to actually know that he was asking about me. And people told me this, people who'd met him, you know. And if I'd gone over there with another band and I missed an opportunity, I could have forced one certain singer to go over there, and he would have taken me, he would have had to do, because whenever he did any solo gigs with an orchestra or anything, he needed a musical director. And I'm not going to give you his name because he might be embarrassed, but he would have met Elvis as well. And I know what would have happened. Elvis would have asked me to play. I know that. And I would have done. And when he reformed his band, an opportunity. When Elvis died, all these sick tribute songs were written. You know, how they loved Elvis so much and all that. And I thought, balmy, I'm going to write a song that doesn't even mention his name. And so I called the song Tupelo because that's where he was born and lived until he went to Memphis. And to me, it's one of the best songs I've written. Did it on an album a few years ago. And as I say, it's one of the best songs I've written.